Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome to another episode of Ferris Makes Emulators. This time we're going to be continuing off of, continuing where we left off last week, which is basically we discovered that this particular frame start interrupt appears to fire even though the display hardware is disabled. Now, I thought it was so a couple interesting things that happened since last time. Well, not terribly interesting, but yeah, significant, I think. So basically what I was doing is I was testing, we made this little test ROM here, and we were testing it in Mednafen. So just going to build this really quick here. And then this screen turned pink, which is actually the correct result, but not the one that we wanted. However, one of the buttons that I wasn't pressing is compile and run in Reality Boy in this IDE here, which actually tests it in a different emulator. And this other emulator also shows the correct result, which is very interesting because it's another piece of code that we can actually take a look at. Now, I did actually take a quick peek in there, and the source was kind of hard to read. I ended up finding the interrupt handling code in the CPU code, the stuff that determines whether or not an interrupt should fire. And it actually just looked like it was firing the frame interrupt at every 20 millisecond interval, which would be once every frame. Now, interestingly enough, we have the rate correct, but we're basically suppressing the interrupt if the display hardware is enabled, because I thought this was like a start of display processing interrupt. That name comes from the text scroll, by the way. But I started looking at that document and a couple other documents, and interestingly enough, I found that basically there's no mention of that interrupt actually firing there's no mention of the display hardware having to be enabled for that interrupt to fire. The only thing that I could find in a piece of documentation that I unfortunately can't show only says that interrupt will fire once every frame period. Thanks, Kaneki, for the follow. So basically, once every 20 milliseconds, this interrupt can fire if, of course, the interrupt bit is enabled, and it said nothing more on whether or not the display hardware should be enabled. And when I looked at that other code, I can probably find that on my disk and pull it up, but it's like 2 lines of code and kind of hard to dig around, and it just fires the interrupt every frame. So I'm starting to think that that's what this is here, is that this interrupt is actually just supposed to fire, just once every frame period. Now, as we've seen from the tests in Mario Tennis, at least in our emulator, that game appears not to work if we fire the interrupt even when the display is disabled. I'm not entirely sure why that is. I did test that game really quickly in this emulator, this Reality Boy emulator, and the game does appear to work there as well. So I'm not really sure what the issue is. But I'm guessing that it's actually not going to be very enlightening if we just sit here and do more hardware tests. There's a couple things I do want to try. I want to explicitly set these registers to be disabled, the display hardware, and then see if this thing still fires. So there's a couple of those things I want to try really quick. But generally, I think actually we're going to find the answer if we dig a little deeper in Mario Tennis again and try and figure out why, what in that code is making it so that this interrupt breaks stuff. And I just want to do a double check of the logic there, because if all the other games appear to work correctly with this interrupt firing even when the display is disabled, then I think that's actually sort of the trick here. Yeah, so there's a little bit of a long intro. By the way, hi to guys in the chat. Dark Second, Tomko, Baggers, Kaneki. Already said hi, but hi again. Or did I? I don't know. Anyway, hi. Dana Collin, Metal Voids, Zamak83, and Studio C. How's it going? Yeah, so that's basically where we're at. Yeah. I'm a little bit, I don't know. I'm just bugged by this. But I think where we can start, first of all, is I want to see first, let's just make that interrupt in the emulator fire regardless of the display enabled state, because I think that that's going to be correct. And then we need to start digging in some stuff. But I'm pretty sure this is the case. So if we go in the VIP code, Where do I raise this interrupt? Here. This one. Start a display frame. So it's this conditional moves down here. And we get that. So you just got shocked by the C on the screen, yeah. That's some Virtual Boy code that we started writing last week. So that's what that is. So if I do this, this should, of course, so this also doesn't make the display enabled at startup, which our tests last week showed that that was, or actually, did I test that? I don't know if I tested that explicitly, but I know that we've done a test of that before. Guy Perfect did a test of that for me. And so we know the display is supposed to be disabled on startup. And if this interrupt fires, regardless of that state, this should also make Space Squash boot, which is, again, the game that we're trying to work on. So let me go ahead and double check that. I'm just going to fire that up. Hey, Soda Design. It's just building here. And it boots. I'm just going to step through a couple screens here, just to be sure. And yeah, this looks like it works. Another interesting thing here, actually. So during the intro, I usually play some like games now and stuff behind here. And I was letting Tolero Boxer play. And interestingly enough, I noticed on the transitions between the different fight screens, the audio would actually glitch. I wonder if leaving this in actually fixes that. So I just want to check that really quick just while we're here and before I forget. I don't know if we might just have to wait to test this properly, but whatever. So what I'm going to be looking for here is the game will go into its like autoplay loop, like its demo mode, but like after it wins the fight, it'll fade out the screen at one point and the audio will glitch. And if it doesn't and this fixes it, that's very interesting. This game's actually really fun on the hardware, by the way. Except for the whole neck and back in a lot of pain from the posture you have to be in to play on the Virtual Boy. Drew 2, yeah, this game is pretty cool. Really good use of the perspective and the technology at the time. All right, here we go. The crowd noise will glitch when the screen fades out. Okay, it still glitches. I don't know if you guys heard that, but I did. Anyway. Okay, that was just kind of hopeful, but I wanted to test that. Interestingly enough, there were a couple other games actually that also would break between like on screen transitions. So I just want to test a couple of those as well. Just to see if this helps at all. One of them was golf. Or, sorry, let me see which one this was. So I actually don't know if that audio glitches on the hardware. I haven't checked that. Should check that. Actually, I have that right here. I'm going to check that. Ugh. Tiller Boxer. Need to rearrange some stuff on my desk really quick. But I actually do, while that's fresh in my head, before I forget, I do want to test that. It's a good call. Kaneki said I've never played on the VB. Hope to get a chance one day. At some demo party, I will definitely release a demo for this. And if you happen to be at that party, then I'll bring a bunch of games as well. And you can play it then. Drew2 Ferris, did you do a write-up about why you're doing a Virtual Boy emulator? Did you own one? I did not own one at the time. I actually don't remember why. Like, it must have been around 2013 or something. I'm just going to fire up the game here and just let it sit. Man, I don't know. I don't know how I got interested in Virtual Boy originally. I think I just found it, like, looking up Nintendo history a few years ago. And just thought it was really weird. Back when I was first getting into wanting to do emulators. Like, first wanting to start making these things. And then just picked it up recently because it seemed just, like, fun when I was taking a break from a bunch of stuff. Little did I know that we'd end up with an actual pretty good emulator here. Oh no, Duru2, I'm not feeling like I have to be defensive about it. I just honestly don't know. Just because I think it's cool, I guess. I'm just gonna let this sit now. I don't know if you guys can hear that or not, but it's pretty funny. While that's sitting, I wanted to test to see if this golf thing would work. Whoops, I actually want this to play just through the menus. Like, again, the autoplay thing. Yes, beggars, it is the most 90s. And I do hope you guys can hear this. Oh, what a chunk of a machine. Beautiful. Life's about halfway. I'm sorry, I'm bad at multitasking, so I'm just gonna wait for this. Alright, let's see if we can hear this. See if we can hear it glitch. Okay, so actually it doesn't bug on the hardware. It looked like the sound actually stops before then. I'm gonna document that somewhere because I don't want to forget that bug. So the design says, how much does it weigh? I'm really bad at judging weight. So it's really hard for me to say. Like, as much as an average cat, I guess. I don't know. Sorry, I can't give a good answer there just because I'm bad at judging that. So you see, it's from the times where UX wasn't exactly a concept or a priority of any kind. Oh, totally. Let's make the coolest thing regardless of how not cool it actually is. Baggers, quality TV right here. Yeah. I don't know why you guys watch this shit, but I'm glad you do. Baggers says 750 grams. Sure. Okay, that was actually interesting, though, that didn't bug there. I'm going to just document that really quick. I'm just going to do it in the Virtual Boy README, because this should work. And I'm actually going to change this to a broken heart as well. Dan Con says, my cats are between 3 and 5 grams. I haven't picked up a cat in a while, to be fair. I told you guys that I would be bad at judging weight. So Design says, yeah, more like a kitty. Grams, exactly. Damn, Colin. Okay, let's do this. Cool. Okay. So that's written down. Now, what I was gonna test was if this golf game, it's basically, if I remember correctly, it would have bugs on screen resistance. In fact, why did I close that README? Because I'm pretty sure I had that written down. Pretty sure. Yeah, here we go. So again, this is the compatibility chart from the README, and yeah, so golf game seems to soft lock randomly in demo mode. Game transitions to demo mode way too fast. I'm guessing the second part is still going to be a bug, but maybe this will fix it. So I just want to let this run here. And I'm being a bit hopeful here just to see if we make this change, does it actually help other games? Just got to test. Okay, so that's where it switches too fast into the game mode, and I don't know what the problem there is. But that's what that bug is. Oh, those drawing bugs were new as well. This is a game I need to get more familiar with on the actual hardware. Like, just be more familiar with what the game's supposed to do. It's just not a very appealing game to play.
P and Esau present.
Due to post this 90s kids virtual reality headset demo from '93, which is awesome, by the way. Drew2 said maybe put this change behind a toggle so you can switch on and off at runtime. I don't think that'll help, because I mean there's a bug in the emulator somewhere. I just want to see if this helps.
P and Esau present.
And I don't want to just hack the emulator until it works. I want to figure out why. So we haven't seen a soft lock yet. I'm just gonna let it run a little bit longer. Armageddon's Witness, who is watching the demo with their old school 3D theater glasses? I still need to get me a pair of those and wear them during the entire Virtual Boy streams. I have the new style 3D glasses here, but not the old ones.
P and Esau present.
Okay, so still no soft lock here. That's, I think, a good sign. Let me go ahead and remove that piece of code as well. I'll undo this and just see if it soft locks again. I just want to see, because if that's another good sign that this is just not supposed to be related. If like games like this are actually affected by that change positively, anything we can find for those clues is helpful right now.
P and Esau present.
I've got plenty of games here, so we can test lots of stuff. This game is so exciting to watch. So we didn't softlock after one cycle, unfortunately. Seriously, this was the game oriented to the business segment. Yeah, also, this fishing game.
T and Esau present.
Virtual fishing, it's called. Clever name. This is the cart for the golf game, by the way. This is the game we're watching. T&E Virtual Golf. And there's too many Tetris clones. Oh, there's also a baseball game. But Dan Collins says I hooked up my SNES and SD to SNES to my projector. Awesome. That sounds awesome.
T and Esau present.
That is a great SNES cart. Dude, too, the only game my dad ever played on NES was Jack Nicklaus Golf. Cool. Man, I'm not seeing this game softlock anymore. Which is weird. Yeah, Colin, I just put your demos out. Yes, you should. They will load very fast. Okay, so I don't know if I fixed this softlock problem at some point and just didn't notice because I don't like this game, so I don't test it very often. I mean, if so, great. But weird. Would have expected to have to fix that manually. By the way, guys, I'm just looking at these carts again. If you get stuff from Japan, like old video game stuff from the 90s, it is in such good condition a lot of the time. These people know how to take care of their stuff. Most of these have boxes and labels. Or boxes and manuals. Okay, why isn't this soft locking? I just push some buttons if that makes any difference. Pew.
T and Esau present.
Ooh, good choice there, Colin. Posit says Rust again. Rust and watching these really boring games from the 90s. That's what my stream's all about. Mad skills to pay the bills. Oh no, you're saying why isn't it soft lock? Yeah, yeah, that's probably mad skills. I don't know if something else we fixed this. I mean, I guess this is what get bisect is for. Let's actually try that because I'm really curious about this. I'm kind of disturbed by this, to be honest, because I remember this soft locking like annoyingly often. So here's what I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna stash everything I have here. Actually, what branch am I on? On master. Good. Actually, I want to have this change in the stash. So you see, it's like that with most collectibles. In Japan, they're still selling working stuff like old Laserdisc players and stuff that's very hard to find in Europe and USA in perfectly fine condition. It's surprising too, because a lot of at least like Tokyo and stuff are really humid. So a lot of equipment I've gotten from there has been like really corroded or had bad contacts, but all the stuff that's been in like boxes has just been so good. Okay, so I just stashed stuff here. And I'm just going to do a bisect, which I think you just do git bisect start. Okay, have to do that from the top level, whatever. So for those of you guys that are unfamiliar with git bisect, basically what it's doing is you have your whole history of commits, and what you want to do is you want to figure out where was the commit that like affected something that I'm testing, right? So what it's going to do is it's going to start you somewhere within your tree, and you just mark that commit as like good or bad. So in this case, we'll mark this one as good because we know that this stuff works here. And then it's going to sit there and just basically binary search within the commit history until it finds the commit that actually affected this. And I'm really curious because I did not expect us to have fixed this problem. So I really want to see if we can actually land on a commit that does this. Getting a little distracted from the original bug, but I think it's actually pretty related because, yeah, again, just like the more games we can test with this logic changed that actually work or happen to be positively affected by this change, even though this one isn't, just the more knowledge we can gain about it. And I think the most gains we're going to get for this bug particular is going to be looking into Mario Tennis. But yeah, I'm just going to let myself be distracted by this because it's all helpful towards the project. So let me go ahead and just Google git bisect again. I've actually only used git bisect once, but it's just the right tool for this. Okay, yeah, so all you do is just git bisect good. This commit, it appears to work. And oh yeah, you need a version where it's bad as well, I think, for it to work. Actually, you know what? I wonder if you actually have to use git bisect bad for the head here. Is it reset? We'll do this. We'll just call this one bad. And we'll just go with the backwards logic for now. I don't remember a commit where it was definitely good. Or bad in this case, what I actually mean, but yeah. Let's just go, actually, let me look at let's do a git blame on the readme and see what the commit was that I wrote this note on. Let's do that. 1 second here. Let me move windows around. So git blame is basically a tool that's going to allow us to look at all the different changes in a file and see which commit did that change come from. So I've never actually used git blame on the command line. But let's just do git blame line porcelain, and then we'll do the file, which is going to be the readme. And I think we have to throw this into grep or something. And that's fine, because I think we should say okay, we found the line. This is where I'm bad at these kind of commands sometimes, but we'll find the right one and then we'll get the info we need and that's it. Actually, you know what? Can I just git blame on GitHub? Why don't I just do that? I think I can. I think I can just go in here and just hit blame. That'll be easier. Here, update golf bug info. That looks like the right commit. Or this actually may be a little bit sooner than I wanted. I think we'll try that though. We'll check that out and we'll see what happens. So where was it? We're just gonna check out this commit. We're just gonna see if it bugs here, and then we can mark it how we want to, and then we'll let git bisect do its magic. Now git bisect, what it's gonna do is it's gonna check out commits, and then you have to like build everything. So it doesn't actually like do any of the testing for you, but that's fine. I mean, the idea is it's just going to do a basic binary search, and you can totally automate this. So like if you have automated tests, you can automate this whole process, which is nice. But we don't have those.
P and E saw present.
Now, if this game doesn't end up soft locking, I'm going to be annoyed. But I definitely remember it happening.
P and E saw present.
Okay, yeah, it looks like the commit before it actually adds that information. So this should be at least relevant here. But I want to see it happen.
P and E saw present.
Why? There, it did it. Right as I said why. So that's the trick. I just got to say why at the right moment. Okay, so this is the soft lock I'm talking about, and this definitely happened. Okay. So we're going to call that good to get bisect. So that was this one. So we marked basically master as bad, and then we marked this as good. And the reason we're doing that backwards is I think you have to do it for the right ordering. Maybe you don't. I don't know, but we're just going to do that because I know it'll work. Normally, this feature is used to find a particular commit that caused a bug. And so we usually mark like master as bad, and then some commit 6 months ago that you know is good, and then it'll start the binary search. So it needs both ends of the range to actually do that. So that's what we're doing here. So yeah, so I just said that, okay, this one was a good commit, even though that's what we actually want to describe as bad. And it just says, okay, so now it gave us a random commit within here. And we're just going to see if that actually helps. So then we need to just run this. Of course, we need to cd into that directory. And we're just going to run this and hope it soft locks. Not the most exciting process, but it's a pretty good little trick to know. Pretty good, pretty useful Git feature.
Esau present.
Gonna watch more of this super exciting game. And it may totally be a fluke that it never locked on master. That's totally possible, but the bisect should converge on that as well, so it's useful.
He and Esau present.
It's a good thing the music is catchy. Yeah, and that golf swing sound. So realistic, especially the ball hitting the soft grass with a loud thud. Man, they killed it. Right there, it sounded like he cut the golf ball with a knife.
He and Esau present.
Beggar says on these old commits, the NPC is way better at golf. That might be significant. Gotta be a bug. Better bisect that too, yeah. Hey, Okama. Ain't no party like a get bisect party.
He and Esau present.
The shadow of the ball there just looked like it was gonna hit him in the head. Straight up. I just think some of the games they made for the system are so strange.
He and Esau.
Let's do a third-person golf game with Nintendo's new VR console. Okay, they're soft-locked again. So, okay, so we know this one is good. Oops. We're going to tell Git bisect that. Now it's going to give us another commit. It says roughly 2 steps because if you do like the binary search, it should know like log n how many iterations it should actually do. So Mox says Mario Golf on the Game Boy was awesome. Oh, I haven't played that. I definitely should though. Also, you're going to see on a lot of the commits, they're basically mostly top level stuff, so they shouldn't really affect what we're doing here. But there's probably commits between there that would. So it's worth testing. So you see, how do you actually shoot in this game? I'm curious, is there a power bar or something? I honestly don't know. And I don't dare go into the game because I know it soft locks on the demo screen, so I'm not actually sure. I think it's something like that, though, if I recall correctly. The bowling game is like that.
He and Esau present.
Some guys have a 5-year plan at 25. I have a near complete Virtual Boy collection. And an internet TV show where people watch me watch video games break. Welcome to the future.
Present.
I'm just seeing a bunch of guys hosting, by the way. Thanks for that. RW Grim, Bod Music, TJ Peden, MoveAway00, and PSNF. Appreciate it.
He and Esau present.
It also still transitions to from the title screen to the demo mode way too fast. I don't know why that is. Come on, break.
He and Esau
What is the
present.
break? I might need some caffeine for this.
He and Esau present.
It's riveting golf action. It is possible that this is just a commit where it doesn't break. Your two, do you have a fast forward key that makes each frame run as fast as possible? Ask Daniel Collin if I have that. That would actually be extremely helpful in this scenario. I might hack that together for this testing, actually.
He and Esau present.
The answer is I don't, and Daniel Collin always reminds me of that, and he's right. Because right now that would be really helpful. So you see, does it break all the time after the same number of title screens? I don't think so. I don't remember that being the case. And from the tests here, I don't think that's the case either. Yeah, save states is the other one. Totally don't have those yet. Do have a debugger.
He and Esau present.
All right, I'm tempted to call this good. Or bad. It's good. Yeah, Colin says, see, applause for the debugger. Oh, yes. Yeah, all these people watching this golf game are really happy about my debugger. Okay, this actually may be significant if there's an interrupt mask or something. At least this is something that changes CPU behavior. So if that fixed this bug, that's awesome. We'll see. Debuggers are better than golf games. I agree.
He and Esau present.
And the debugger in this emulator also, I've said this a lot of times before, but I'm really, really happy with it because it's not that good, but it's one of those things where it's like the right amount of engineering and it totally lets us do what we need to do with it. And I'm just still so satisfied with having done that so early in the project, which just made so many things a lot easier, just not being blind because we had the debugger. So I'm still very satisfied with this debugger for those reasons.
He and Esau.
Drew2 said it's cool to see git bisect being used. I knew about it but never used it. Yeah, I used it. I haven't used it very many times myself, but it's very useful when you need in these kind of situations. Derek Collin never used bisect either. Zamak83, and now another thrilling episode of Ferris watches bad golf. I used to be really self-conscious about like having every minute of my streams be like focused and just the best content I could make. Now that is not the case.
T and Esau present.
You can't screw that exactly. Now I just relax. Do what we do. No worries. Gremlins, how come you're looking for when a bug gets fixed? So I just noticed that I was trying to see if another change we made just happened to fix this bug that I remembered. And then I noticed that the bug wasn't triggering. And I'm like, okay, well, when did that happen? Is this bug actually fixed? And so I'm really curious. So now we're bisecting to see if we can find a commit that actually fixed that bug, because I want to have an explanation for it. If we fixed it, I want to know what did it. So that's why we're doing this. Dirt2 said, yeah, don't try to entertain us. We like watching you do your thing for reals. Yeah, I'm happy to hear that. It's a lot more fun for me that way as well, naturally. And I still think that's what this stream is all about. Just here's some projects. I think they're really fun to work on.
T and Esau present.
Let's hang out. This also appears to work. But I don't know. CC says, I don't know if my favorite game genre are the golf games or the fishing games. I remember Base Masters for the N64. I remember that game too, and it was awesome.
T and Esau present.
So Malk83 said, it was a great feeling of satisfaction when I found out that the bug I was seeing was actually a bug in Link's Awakening and not in my Game Boy emulator. Yeah, that is a great feeling. Also, it's very annoying because you totally are like looking for what is causing this ridiculous bug, and then it's in the software. I noticed that in this emulator had one of those moments as well. It was in Wario Land. But like when the screen fades out and transitions to another game screen, it always flashes. Like as it fades back in, it flashes one of the screens from the previous mode. So like the first frame as it fades in actually shows the previous screen,
T and Esau
not the current one. And I totally thought that was an emulator bug until I looked closer at the hardware. So Mach 83 indeed took way too long to find it. Yeah, takes forever to realize that stuff because it's some of those little things where it's just like that can't be broken in the real game. This is a Nintendo R&D 1 project. Like the flagship title for this console. But there it was. All right. If it doesn't break this time, I'm going to call this good. Yeah, all right. I'm going to call it. Now, we're going to call this one a bad one, because that's what we're doing. Seriously, especially if you don't have the real hardware, you're never sure and you waste so much time. Yeah. Yeah, that's totally how it is.
T and Esau present.
So Mach 83 says, I'm not actually sure my Game Boy still works. It's upstairs somewhere. Still has Zelda in it, if I remember correctly. Gotta find it. Yeah, definitely find that. I actually was at a Japanese game shop a few weeks ago and bought this Game Boy Color. Because it was the same color as the Game Boy Color that I had. back in 98, 99. And that was nice. Fun to reconnect with that. My older style Game Boys, though, all have custom cases and backlights. Have I shown you guys those before? I probably have, but I'm gonna get them out again. I got a road case. Or flight case or whatever. Now, a buddy of mine is actually borrowing the other one. I have two of these. This is my DMG. It's got a custom black, slightly translucent case with blue buttons, blue thing here, and a backlight. And I also put in the film on the backlight, like rotated, so it's actually inverted. And this is one of my old Game Boy demos, if I remember correctly. Yeah, that's what that is. Awesome stuff. Because chiptune basically exploded because of 90s kids. It's actually really easy to find parts for these now, which is really cool. Sue says, do you have any of them modded for better audio? No, I don't, because I think it's called the Pro Sound mod. The reason I don't do that is because it actually makes the, like what it does is it basically bypasses the amplifier. The amplifier is the thing that's introducing a bunch of noise in the Game Boy, and by bypassing it, you reduce the noise, but at the same time, you make it quieter. And the biggest thing for me with these Game Boys is that I like to use them on the go. Like, I like to be on a plane or something, pop in my headphones, and then sit there and, yeah, play these. And it's really fun. And I'm always, like, even then, I'm always like, oh, it's still not loud enough, still not loud enough. So maybe I should get an external amp or something for that. But, yeah, that's why I haven't done it, because I don't want these to get any quieter. Armageddon's Witness, did you play with PSP when it was popular? No, I had a buddy that had one, and he really liked that game Loco Roco. I remember that, but I never had a PSP.
P and E Soft present.
That was around the time, would have been my teens, where I just wasn't doing a lot of handheld gaming. I had a laptop at that point that a buddy of mine gave me. That was already like half a decade old at the time, but I did a lot of cool software rendering stuff with it. So I just wasn't doing a lot of portable gaming at the time. The Monkey Day 3 Purity, mine is a very yellowed one from when I was 7 or 8, so somewhere around 1990, 91. That's awesome.
P and E Soft present.
Yeah, if you have the original from when you're a kid, keep it that way because it's awesome. But these ones I bought aftermarket, so didn't really mind tearing them apart. The main thing was actually just that I wanted backlights in them, but since I found out you had to tear them up anyway to get the backlights in, then I thought, okay, why not customize? Especially because I bought both of these at separate times, and so then they had like different yellowing on the cases, and I didn't like that, so. Dan Collins says, Loco Roco is fun, and we TBL actually made a demo for PSP. Yes, it's called Suicide Barbie, and it's awesome. It's still one of my favorite demo soundtracks, like ever, probably.
Present.
Even though it's a remix of a Swedish pop song. It's a really cool demo. Very much Louis style. Seriously, mine is also old, but it got some lines. I think I have to reflow the screen bus, but I'm afraid to apply that much heat. Yeah, that's very scary. The other of my Game Boys has the same problem. And yeah, I'm also too afraid to do that. So this looks like it's also working. So we're gonna call this get bisect. Oops, gotta do into here, get bisect bad. And apparently, according to the bisect, this one where it reverses the argument order for this disassembly is apparently what fixed it. That can't be right. Midnight Club Dub Edition was always really cool looking. I remember that. Grumman says, how do you guys find the specific specs for things like this? I tried making my own Game Boy emulator, but got bogged down in finding hardware interrupts, so I never got past the boot ROM. Do you mean like just how the hardware should work? Because I know that there's a lot of really detailed documentation by like No Cache, for example, for Game Boy, where just a lot of reverse engineering and also some hardware manuals, or like some actual programming manuals from the time, if you can dig around and find those, often have a lot of this kind of information. Although the unofficial stuff usually is better in terms of timing, just because like people have actually tested that stuff and figured those details out, whereas the programmer's manuals don't usually go over that stuff in that much detail, because as someone programming against it, you would need to know that stuff in most cases. But yeah, generally a lot of that stuff just has been figured out by a community before. 656, the one you just marked bad, actually fix it due to the backward logic. That could make sense. Let's see. So yeah, so I don't think that was actually the case that this fixed it, but I'm going to go ahead and look at the history just to double check that commit. That can't be right though. I think this might have just been a fluke. And if that's the case, fine. If it still bugs like that, fine, but I still think it's worth just looking, because if it did get fixed, then we should know that. Yeah, so it was this one. Actually, though, this one is right after this interrupt mask level. Part of me does still wonder if that's relevant. But according to this, it landed here. And that's just printing these in a different order for these arguments for the disassembler. So this interrupt mask level actually could have fixed it. I'm actually wondering if that's the case. I'm going to look at that. Let's get this here. We'll take its parent commit. So the one where I just reversed the argument order. And we're gonna go ahead and run this. And in this one, it should break. If this fixed it again. We don't know that that's actually the case. But this one should break, and the one after it shouldn't.
P and Esau present.
Bagger says, pick the later one as it's looking for good, even though you have the logic backward, the mask commit will be the one. Not entirely sure what you mean by that. But yeah, I'm basically thinking the same thing, like it might be one of these commits. This one could actually fix it, because it could make sense if it like set the interrupt level to something higher and then didn't expect another interrupt to fire, and then the interrupt fire and then would soft lock the game. You know what I mean? Something like that could actually break it, so. And there it's soft locked. Dan Collins just said, didn't that compile very fast? Good point. It didn't recompile. Why is that? So we are at C340. Which would have been the parent here. It's this one. That did seem to compile too fast. Let me do a cargo clean really quick, just to be sure. It might have been this. I think it was the same one we were testing before, but still. I'm just going to make sure. Because especially if I see this soft lock again, then I'm going to be more convinced. So it's worth trying. But if this works, then congrats to Jay Westfall, who totally fixed this bug and didn't notice. Because he's the one who implemented the mask level. This is usually when I break out the old Rubik's Cube. Because this is not the fastest build in the world. Not the slowest, but not the fastest. Yeah, I think that was the last step of the bisect. Can't actually look. There is a way to check that, but just gonna let it build for now. Dan Collins says, have you played Persona 5 yet, by the way? I have not. I'm hearing awesome things about it. I don't have a PS4, but I'm thinking about getting one. Because that game and a few others are very enticing right now. That one, Horizon Zero Dawn. The Zestiria series. All seem like great games. And it's starting to look really worth it to have a PS4 right now. I'll comment, it's complete dope. I like that phrase. Like, it's not just dope, it's complete dope. How long is that game, by the way? Like, am I gonna get my money's worth in terms of hours of playing the game? Hikon says, beware that it's long, took me 100 hours. That's actually a good sign. That's the kind of game I want to play. I want to grind on a game for like, I don't know, a couple months, and then yeah, I want to get into the game. So that's actually good news. I actually have yet to beat Breath of the Wild still, because I'm just doing so many side quests and putting off beating Ganon. Yeah, that sounds cool. Comment says, you're trying to 100% you gamer. I usually try to 100% and then get impatient and then stop, but I enjoy it. The games I actually really want to play again lately is Metroid Prime, and so I'm really hoping those come out for the GameCube Virtual Console for the Switch. Oh, I want this to break again. Yeah, I've actually had good experiences playing the Metroid Prime games again in Dolphin, except the I played the first one a few years ago, and Ridley had a bunch of timing bugs that made it just unplayably slow. Other than that, it was a really good experience. And that stuff might be fixed by now. This was a few years ago, but the second one I never beat as a kid, or as a teen, I guess. The first and third ones I beat. I might even have my old strategy guide for the second one. We would always get games for Christmas, and we get the strategy guide along with them. The old Prima strategy guides. I hope I still have that, because that was really cool. No way we have our Ocarina of Time one, because that just got thrashed. Now, Con says they also moved to they made the JIT almost twice as fast when they moved to x64. That's awesome. That's really cool. I've been kind of dreading doing a JIT for MIPS for the N64. But actually lately I'm kind of craving just doing more complicated stuff. So I'm kind of looking forward to that. I kept saying it would be a few weeks before we get back on that project, but it'll probably be a little bit longer because I still want to get this to like a 1.0 state before switching. And I don't mind just like taking a long time between those projects because like as long as we're still working on stuff and having fun, I don't mind. Like I know we'll get to that eventually, so I'm just not too worried about it. That's still a question I get asked fairly often, though. Is when is the N64 stream coming back? When it comes back. I don't plan on not stopping streaming anytime soon, so eventually. Okay, this is not breaking, and I'm not thrilled about that. It shouldn't make a difference if I run it again. But it might. There might be some RNG based on the timing of when I go through the menus or something. Oh, Dana Collins going to ESA. Awesome. I wanna go to that at some point. That does look really cool. I love watching the speedrunning streams when those are on. Like GDQ at ESA. So fun to watch. All the people I follow on Twitch are speedrunners and other programming streamers. Drew2 says, when you go back to N64, will you work on it offline like you're doing for Rushable Boy? Yeah, I think I will. I think I will. I didn't actually know ESA was in Sweden. Pretty close indeed. Yeah, I'll want to work on it offline and online like I'm doing with this. And just do the same thing where it's like, okay, since last time I did this and this is how this worked, and yeah, I think it'll work out pretty well. Like I don't think that much will be missing from the stream still. Akama wants a new Emuni demo. Okay, there it bugged. Okay, at least I saw it bug. That's all I wanted. Now we want to see if this commit ends up fixing it, so we'll run it a few times. That's good to hear, Drew, too. Yeah, the format works really well for me because sometimes like if I want to work on something and I know I have to wait, that really kind of starts to hurt my motivation. It's a lot different like now that I'm on a set schedule though, so maybe I wouldn't feel that way, but I don't know. I would like to make faster progress, and if I'm like really fascinated by something, that I'd kind of just want to do it. So it works a lot better for me to do it that way, and I think it'll be fine for this stream. And sometimes like I'll be working on other projects anyway in my free time, so it's like lately I've been doing a lot of compression stuff and not working on this off the stream at all, other than like reading some documents, and that's fine. COC says it seems to be one of those pesky random bugs, and it does look like that. It definitely looks like that. But if I can't get it to break on this commit, then that's really cool. And I'm actually going to mark this as, or I'm going to remove it from the README if I can't get it to break on this commit. Because that would make a lot of sense. So what this is, by the way, this interrupt mask level. So when an interrupt fires, each interrupt in this system is actually like numbered. And what you can do is the processor has an internal state where you can set some bits in the status register, and basically it'll take all interrupts with an interrupt number that's lower than that level and just ignore them. So for example, this could be used to suppress some kind of interrupt while it's doing screen changes. So like if it wanted to like decompress some graphics or something, it could set this to a really high level. And then all the video interrupts wouldn't interrupt it while it's doing that, for example. So it could, I haven't looked at the game code, but like it could actually make sense that this would fix that. So if I can't get it to break, then I'm actually pretty convinced that this was helpful. And then, well, we didn't fix the bug that we wanted to fix, but at least we found another bug that is fixed, and that's pretty cool. So that's what I'm thinking now, and why I think this commit might actually be the one that could have fixed this, if it is actually fixed. But I'm also okay with, like, if we run this a few times and it doesn't bug, okay, then I'm gonna call it fixed until we know otherwise. I think that's okay.
T and E saw present.
My big thing, and I've said this before, is just I don't want to do stuff that we know is wrong. That's the whole thing. Like, if we get to 100% game compatibility to our knowledge, that's good enough. That counts. And then if someone says, well, no, then we can fix those bugs. So I am happy that the bisect still landed around this commit. Because, like I said, this could make sense. So it's really cool if that fixes it. I'm just going to run this a couple more times. And then I want to look at Mario Tennis, because actually there was one more game I wanted to try before that with our little fix, because maybe relevant. Which is Nestor's Funky Bowling, because that's a game that has a bunch of issues on screen transitions as well, and may have actually been affected by this bug. I haven't tested it in a while. It is actually one of the games that is still missing for compatibility for the 100% metric that I'm going after. So, want to test that really quick too. Again, just trying to implement the hardware as I think it should be, based on the fact that last time we saw that interrupt fires even when the display is disabled. Going through and just testing a lot of these games is just a big part of this anyway.
T and E saw present.
I am not seeing this break, just gonna run it once or twice more.
T and E saw present.
I mean, that again, that's awesome if this actually fixed that bug. I'm absolutely thrilled if that's the case. Be a very pleasant surprise. And then I'll have to bug Jay Westfall about it, because it's awesome that he just did that.
T and E saw present.
And then we'll try Nestor's Funky Bowling. See if our little fix affects that game. Or if the bugs are fixed because of this commit.
T and E saw present.
This is looking really good, you guys. I'm just going to run it one more time. Unrelated. You know what another thing I've been wanting to stream again lately is
Present.
Ocarina of Time speedrunning. That was really fun to play with. There's a couple projects I want to do before that. I really want to get farther with some of the compression stuff I'm doing. And then I want to do some streams explaining that, because that'll be fun. But yeah, I'm starting to be fairly convinced that this commit actually fixed this bug,
He and Etha
which is awesome.
present.
Looks like a third stream. Like Jeff says, compression stuff. Yeah, so I've been working on a new compressor for 64K intros. Not that it's at all something we need. Our intros actually tend to be a bit smaller than 64K, but it's doing an executable packer is one of those projects I always kind of wanted to do. And now I'm just tackling some of the more advanced compression stuff that's actually making it work, it looks like. I started it last summer, around when shortly after I stopped streaming for a while. But I only worked on it a couple weeks because then I had to work on visual tooling for our Elysian demo. And then after that, did Engage, and now I've got some free time between parties and productions, and so I'm revisiting it. In total, it's been about 3 or 4 weeks of evenings worth of work that's gone into that so far, and it's mostly just been me learning a lot of details about context modeling. But there's a lot more to learn. Okay, it just soft locked. I have over here, I have the README file open, ready to be all excited about having this problem be fixed. And change the README. Yeah, I can't break in the debugger. We can probably dig around here just to look around, but I don't, if I remember correctly, last time I looked at this, it actually wasn't very interesting. I think it just sat here in this loop. I can't remember what it did specifically. Oh, come on, I contacted Endemol and they agreed to put a cam on Ferris for 24/7 code streaming. I don't think anyone wants that. But I think I actually don't want to debug this now. I think we'll save this one for later. I just wanted to see if that was the case while we were kind of going by this. Wanted to test this game really quick to see if that other thing fixed the bug. It didn't. So I think I'll not debug that for now. Anyway, that means that bug didn't fix it. Okay, at least now we know for sure that didn't fix it. And that kind of makes me more comfortable than knowing that we probably fixed it. So I think that's okay. I do still want to test the bowling game really quick to see if our fix did that. First of all, I'm gonna pop my git stash. Which should give us this change here, where we don't fire the interrupt, or sorry, we do fire the interrupt regardless of whether or not the display was enabled or not. And I want to see if that actually fixes the bug in the bowling game. So what it was is that, if I remember this correctly, the game would have so it has its initial warning screen, and then it would just go black and soft lock, and it seemed to actually be really random. I remember testing this a little bit more, and yeah, it was another one of those that was kind of random. After this screen, it would just go, okay, so this time it worked, and I could get through a few screens, and it would just soft lock in random places. Also, this does not seem to be a very high quality game. Okay, this soft locked. This is the kind of bug I'm talking about, where it just like randomly doesn't work. Okay, so that didn't fix that. Okay, so now those are the things I wanted to test just to see if it fixed those bugs. Didn't seem to do that, which is okay. Virtual bowling, the sounds there will still be wrong, I'm sure. Toe boxer, we just added those audio bugs. I'm just looking at the bugs that are left here. And yeah, shouldn't affect anything else. So now I want to try Mario Tennis. This is what I wanted to do. Oh, I hate when this happens. Sometimes MSys does not like me. And if I resize the window, it gets all funky. Okay, so we'll try Mario Tennis. Seriously, says when the beep comes from the stream, I get so confused. Like, what I do now? Yeah. I totally do that when I'm watching other streamers. Seriously, yeah, the big brother of code. Exactly. So this will work fine. Now, when I go into the next part of the game, like into the next menu, we get all this graphical glitching. So this is the bug that started it all. We meet again bug. What I'm going to do is I'm going to enable our logging features, I think. Oh, wow. It's already been an hour and a half. Whoops. I think it's core logging. Actually, let me just look at this. CLI cargo log core all. That's what we want. So what happens here is there's this interrupt, this same interrupt that wouldn't fire with this older logic that would cause Space Squash not to work. And what's interesting here is this particular interrupt. This game, what it does is between screens, it disables the display hardware and then runs a graphics decompression routine. And if that interrupt fires while that decompression routine is running, it will clobber the registers that the decompression routine uses, and cause that graphical corruption. So what you're seeing there is the result of the interrupt firing when it shouldn't have fired, which I thought was because the display was disabled, but I guess there's some other logic that has to suppress that instead in order for that other hardware test that we had to actually work the way it did, and also for Space Squash to boot. And yeah. Anyway, you're seeing the result of the registers being clobbered, and then the graphics get all messed up. Now, what do I want to do? I want to. How do I want to dig into this again? At some point, I had a bunch of notes for what I did. I think I put these in a gist, where I had a bunch of the notes that I used when actually looking at this the first time. I'm just gonna look through my gist to see if I had one. And of course, I have a bunch of notes here. About like, so I reverse engineered that decompression routine. That's why I should have notes about this. Okay, I'm only seeing my notes where I only seeing the stuff. Sorry, I'm I'm bad at multitasking again. Only seeing the notes where I actually reverse engineered it, and I have some Rust pseudocode that represents that routine, but I don't remember where it was in memory, and I don't think I have that file anymore. I'm just gonna look a little bit more for that. Oh, comma, that bug looks like a crossover episode with the Bagger CPU noise making. Oh, totally. Coincidence? I don't think so. I don't think so either. As my beard grows, we converge. So here's WTF.asm. Yeah, this is it actually. So this is just a file on my desktop called WTF.asm. And this is actually the notes. This I remember. So this is the graphics decompression routine. And then this was me starting to change that code into pseudocode. And then this WTF.rs is probably, yeah, this is the decompression routine as I reverse engineered it. It's a really basic LZ77 scheme. I'll actually post the link to the some of the stuff I had here. This right here is an actual working Rust program that can extract these graphics, or at least can decompress some of it. I think actually it doesn't extract the graphics now that I think about it. I think it just prints out all the reads and writes or something. And I think I just used that to make sure it made sense. But yeah, there's that. And that was reverse engineered. This is one of the data blocks that actually decompresses. So these are where it's called. Or these are the arguments for where it's called. And then this is the routine that does the decompression. Here. I also have WTF2.asm. What's that? Oh yeah, no, I did a second round where I actually reverse engineered this because I had to try a couple times. I messed up some details when I was doing this. There's also WTF3.asm, but that's probably something else. Anyway, I think, yeah, so here are the locals of the program. The details of this routine I don't think are going to be what's interesting here. I think just that I need to set up some breakpoints in the debugger and see if we can get this to trigger. I also want to, I want it to print out all this stuff, like as it's reading or writing registers. I want to go into the VIP and just like print anything we can print. I want to print because I want to see if I remember correctly. I had it enough of this broken down. I probably just need to do this again, actually, to where I could see the code that would disable the interrupt or disable the display hardware. I could see where it was calling the graphics decompression routine a number of times, and then I could see where it would re-enable that. Dark Second says, I don't want to see your desktop. It's actually not that bad, but there are a bunch of these. I don't want to delete them for this reason. Like I should just stuff them in a repo somewhere at least. But it's just notes like this. A lot of those kind of things. So a lot of like random Ableton projects and stuff. Yeah, I probably just have to dig into this again. But you know what? It's 9:30, and I think I'm actually going to save this for next time. I think that's what I'm going to do. So then, didn't end up making that much progress today, but we did. I am actually going to commit this change because we know. I'm fairly certain. I don't know if you guys caught me ranting about this at the beginning, but I did check the documentation. Didn't find any information about that interrupt actually being suppressed by the hardware display thing being disabled. So I think that was just something that I made up to fix this game, but I think there's going to be something in the source code here, or in the code here that's going to sort of tell us the thing. So I think yeah. I think next week we'll start with digging into Mario Tennis again, which will be interesting. It'll be interesting to kind of do that on stream and do it a second time, and then we'll hopefully find the bug. But yeah, that's what I'm guessing. I'm guessing there's going to be some kind of logic I missed the first time I took this apart that's actually suppressing that interrupt. And if we can find what that is, then that's awesome. Then we'll fix the bug, because that's kind of what I'm thinking now. Is that the change we did here, actually, the interconnect was from last time. This change here, I'm pretty sure this is going to be correct. And in that case, then Mario Tennis is now not playable. And then Space Squash boots properly. So I'm gonna put this on a branch because it will break that game. But yeah, I'm just gonna push that really quick, and then I'm gonna call it a night. The real frame interrupt. Should link some commits here that I still should have linked from the Rustleboy blog. I'm going to have to do a blog entry about all this as well when it works again. Because I totally have that other entry where we go over why this is wrong. Oops. Always leave a paper trail with your commits. Actually, this second, no, that is relevant. Yeah, thanks for watching. Sorry we didn't end up getting into the meat of this bug this time, but I do think what we did today was valuable, even if it was a little slow. Well, we'll get there. So yeah, thanks guys for hanging out, and I'll see you next week. Or actually, I'll probably see a lot of you on Sunday, and then if not, next week. I'm always so awkward when it comes to ending the stream. All right, see you guys.